All right, it is 4:30. It is September 30th, year
Hang on just
2024.
one second, Mayor. Let's make sure we're on Zoom, please.
I'm gonna have to go talk to him through.
False alarm.
Okay, I tried to call him and it didn't work, so I talked to him through the door.
Both of our colleagues from IT went to a conference in Monterey and brought home not only a wealth of knowledge, they also brought home COVID.
Really?
So, yeah, Joel's sequestered downstairs in a plastic bubble suit.
Well, this is the first time in 2 years I haven't had COVID for my birthday.
Happy birthday,
And I
that's right.
thought I did have it, so I
Your
took a test.
Your birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, council
Oh,
member.
just,
It is? It was?
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
yeah.
I expect you to sing.
I would have brought you that yet.
I'm officially the oldest person on the city council.
Hmm.
Okay, so,
Wait,
so
and you
I'm in
weren't
the
the day
Zoom,
before?
but Joel
I was
isn't
the
because
day
he was
before as
joining the
well.
wrong
I gotta
meeting.
see what happened.
And I told him, I said, I ended the meeting and I started the one for today because he joined tomorrow's. And it just kept kicking me out. That's because
What do you want me to tell you?
he's starting the wrong meeting.
There's two different.
There's two different meetings, one for today, which is the one I keep trying to start.
The 30th.
Christopher Sophus back today.
I know, and Dame Judith Anderson. Boy, Chris Christopherson, he was a Rhodes Scholar,
He was.
an athlete. His parents kind of disowned him when he wanted to go into singing and stuff. I hope they took him back. I went to a few concerts with him. He was wonderful.
Yeah, he's cool.
He was an army ranger,
So
Yeah.
I'm-
and he got an offer
can't
to
taste
teach
it.
at West Point.
I just wasn't,
Yeah.
I
It's
don't know what to do.
incredible.
Wow.
One concert
keeps
we went to, though,
ending the
he came
meeting
out, and I
that
think
I'm
he must have been
starting.
Drunk.
stoned or drunk, and it was
This
so
is the
bad he
meeting
went,
today,
Hold
4:30,
it.
Monday, September 30th.
if you give me a half an hour, I'll come back. So he went out, he came back, and it was a fabulous concert. I
And
don't
I
know what
told
he
him
did
not
back
to
there,
go.
but
Probably had a drink.
So I need to end
I
it
don't
to
know,
start a new one. So I
it
say
was
end
not
the
gonna be a
meeting
good
and I
concert.
start
Well, the
this
article I
one,
read said
and then
at one
kicks
point he
me
was
out.
drinking
I'm
2 bottles of whiskey a day.
Jesus.
I
Yeah.
have to, I have
made
to
his
start
voice,
it
you
so
know, a
people
lot
can
of
join.
singers would
And
do
he
that
needs
to
to
make their
join the same
voice.
when I'm joining.
Janis
but
Joplin.
He keeps starting the one for
And
tomorrow.
remember Kim Carnes?
Sure.
She bought a dock that we owned up in Lake
I'm
Arrowhead.
ending
We were sold
tomorrow's meeting. I'm
we bought a
starting
house.
today's. Yeah,
just to buy the dock. Sold the
start
house,
webinar.
attached the dock to our house, and used it for several years with our sailboat.
Oh,
And then when were moving, we wanted to sell the dock separately, and she bought it,
Hey,
Kim-
Betty Davis size.
Kim
Kim
Carnes.
Carnes.
okay,
Boy, did she have a
You ready to go?
gravelly voice.
okay.
She was good. I think she was a one-hit
Oh,
wonder,
then,
not like Chris.
I don't
Willie
know
Nelson
either.
said he would, Chris
Here,
Christopherson
let me
was one
send
of
you
the
the,
best
let me
songwriters.
send you the invite,
I saw him
and I'll
with
just,
Highwayman. When I saw him, it was
You
with
saw the
Highwayman.
I
highwayman?
guess
Oh, wow,
what I
so-
should do.
I missed that. I'd love to see that one.
I saw Willie Nelson. I saw Willie Nelson a couple of months ago.
Are you logged
He was
into your
90.
email?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw him in Key West a few months ago.
He sounded great.
We saw him at the Sunset Center.
I'll email you the
Did you?
link for today.
I saw him at Sunset Center too.
I'll
We
email
couldn't
you the
get
link
tickets, so
as an
Hugo got on a
attendee,
wait
and then
list.
once you join,
And in
then
the
I'll promote
afternoon of the
you to
concert,
co-host.
they called and we said, we'll be there. We were like in the front or second row. We could see the
I'll
hole in his
email it to
guitar.
you, And then you can join
That's
as
his
an
original
attendee.
guitar.
Yeah,
He's
And
had it
then
for like
once you join,
70 years or something.
Then I'll promote you to a
it was
co-host.
a great concert too. His son played.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And then I don't know
The
why
code is 5028.
it keeps telling you not to quit the other
downstairs.
meeting.
But he's always looked old. Even when he was like 40, he looked 70. I mean,
What's that one song? Roll me up and smoke me
yeah,
when I
he's-
die.
yes.
I love that. Sometimes when I'm in a mood, I put on Willie or Chris.
Well, Willie also has a video that says, "I'm still not dead." If you haven't seen it, it's a gas.
He's great.
Because there's always rumors that he's passed.
Yeah.
Are we still waiting on IT?
Really?
Yep, we're still waiting.
He's not on yet. He's trying.
Do you need water down here? Thanks. Jeff, do you need water?
Should we just start without, or?
No, we should
No.
just.
No, I don't think we've noticed it as a remote meeting, so.
Well, he said he kept trying to join the meeting, but it kept telling him he needed to stop another meeting that's in progress, but then that was stopping this meeting that I'm in. So it was just like a weird loop, and so I just emailed him the attendee link for today, and I said, join as an attendee, and then I'll just promote you to co-host, but he hasn't joined yet, so I'm just waiting.
Okay. Are there other people on the meeting?
Yeah, we have, is Margaret Byrne?
Yes.
Okay, so Dale and Margaret are both on.
Okay.
Well, if we wanted to plan for the worst, we could continue the meeting to tomorrow night.
You know, yeah, I know, I realize that.
We only got some consent items.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, well, luckily it's such a light, both sides are light,
Yeah.
so they have a lot.
Oh, I think he just got on. There we go.
How was your weekend? You went to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's on.
Right, we're good.
It's warm.
Okay, I've been informed that it's still September 30th, 2024. We are still Carmel-by-the-Sea City Council. Nova, could I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Barron?
Here.
Councilmember Drama?
Here.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Here.
Mayor Potter?
Yeah.
All are present.
Okay, first item is a public comment. It's an opportunity for any member of the public to comment on an item that is not on tonight's agenda. Anybody wishing to do so may speak. I don't see anybody's already in the room here that wants to speak.
There's,
Anybody on Zoom?
there's no hands raised on Zoom.
Mhm.
There's no hands raised on
Okay,
Zoom.
good. All right. We'll move on then to the consent calendar. There's 6 items on the consent calendar. I think council, you wanted, Chip, you wanted to pull out item number 6.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull number 6, have Mr. Romero make a couple slide presentation about this item, and then I suggest we open public comment, and if there's any questions or not, we can turn to Mr. Pyrrhic for further explanation of this
We'll
item.
look at the rest of the consent calendar. Council members, is there anybody with concerns to council?
Mr. Mayor, if I could pull item number 2, please.
For discussion or just comment?
Just a comment and a question.
Okay,
I wanted to ask a question on 2 as well.
okay. With 2 on 2, anybody else? Anybody in the public with a concern with the consent calendar, except for item number 6?
I'll make a motion, we approve consent items 1, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, all right. Motion is second. Any other discussion? No, a roll call.
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Drama?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
All are present.
Right, Alessandra, item number 2.
Thanks, Mayor. It's item, it has to do with the Planning and Building Commission monthly reports, item number 2. It's about the Shell gas station that's converting to a Chevron station, and they're going to be changing the sign. So, Brandon, I might just ask you 2 things is, since that is a historic station from 1964 with Will Shaw as the architect, and that sign is hand-carved, is there any chance we might be able to have the new owner maybe give it to the Heritage Society or the Monterey Institute of Architects just so it's saved and not just discarded as trash?
Yeah, we can certainly ask that question. I don't actually know off the top of my head where that's at in the process with respect to like HRB and Planning Commission. So we'll make sure that there's a conversation about what happens to, presumably Chevron's not going to want to have a Shell sign out in front of their store.
Exactly.
So I think that's a pretty good
Safe
assumption.
Yes.
But that might run smack into historic resources. I don't know. So let me
Right.
find out. But that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll make sure that something is done about that sign.
Thanks. And then my question is, since Chevron is putting a sign in, it's a historic station, is there any way when we talk to them about the sign that they could make it a little bit more so it fits in with that station and
Absolutely.
the architecture?
Yeah. If it's not required by Secretary of Interior standards, we can certainly at least have that conversation and strongly encourage them to do it.
That'd be great. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you for bringing that up. It's a
Sure.
great point. Yeah.
You just wanted a direction, then are you content with that?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve.
No, I have a question.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
This is a question for Paul. Yes, as I was reading over the fire ambulance report and the police report, I don't recall ever having so many notations about Pebble Beach, Cypress, Monterey, Pacific Grove. Have we always had Carmel Highlands? Have we always had those? It just seems like there's a lot of calls that were answered.
We do. We have a mutual aid agreement with the county to respond as an ambulance. So that's our ambulance report. About 2/3 of our ambulance calls are outside the city limits. And that's part of our mutual aid agreement. And that's something that previous councils had agreed to have our ambulance do that, because we do find ourselves as the closest responding unit. And in an emergency situation, we want to make sure that we're getting people the care they need, regardless of boundaries. So that was agreed upon years ago.
Okay, so you just said about 2/3 of the calls are out of the city. So that means when our ambulance is out of the city, we have AMR respond to us?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and would you once again repeat for me which calls go where first, the 911 calls?
Sure. If someone in the city calls 911, that call goes to our dispatch. Our dispatch takes the initial call, and then if it's a police-related call, we dispatch our police officers. If it's a fire or medical or emergency response requiring the fire department or ambulance to go, they get transferred to Monterey County, which has its own dispatch for ambulance and fire. And then they take the information and then they dispatch the fire and ambulance units to that call.
Okay, so we were all invited over to the Monterey County Office of Emergency Services, and Jeff and I were there, and 2 people from Pacific Grove, 1 from Monterey and 1 from Mary Adams' office. That's the only people that attended that. But we asked questions of 911 then, of how do you find us? And they bring up a grid, and if they can get a ping on the cell phone, they can get a ping on the cell phone. But I was concerned, some people have Wi-Fi calling, and in order to have Wi-Fi calling on their phones, they have to have a physical address. And some people have said, well, I do it with my son's address in Palo Alto or this or that. Are they able to be located?
So that's a good question. I've had that conversation before as we've discussed dispatching services here. When we transfer that call, we're able to give the address to the dispatcher so they can dispatch the fire and ambulance. Now, there's only a few.
Which address?
Our address, whether it be 2 south or north side of this street, 2 south of that, right? That's how we get our addresses and we figure them out. We relay that information to Monterey County Dispatch so they can give it to the fire department or ambulance so they can respond.
So there's a lot of going back and forth. It's not a direct.
Correct.
Okay.
There is a delay in response with that process.
And then these response times are once the wheels start going until the wheels get to the house.
Correct. Yes.
So that could be a couple minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, in explanation.
Correct.
Then the wheels roll and they do their 3.5 or 4 or 5, and that gets them to the house, not inside yet, because they hit a button.
Correct. When they respond, they hit a arrived button, then they get inside the house. So there is a delay when people call 911 because they're talking to our dispatch. And
Yeah.
for a fire or medical, it goes to county, and that clock does not start until the county dispatches the fire engine or ambulance.
Okay, so we want to feel secure, and we're thinking that we're pretty much within 3.5, 4, or our goal is under 5 minutes,
Mhm.
right? But in actuality, it's probably a lot more in most cases.
It's actually higher than those numbers you're being reported because of the process we have in place today, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank
We've
you
been
very
asked by previous councils to get the actual call-to-door response time, and it's very difficult because we have different clocks. We actually worked on a satellite clock where everybody has, like your cell phone has a specific time, but even that's been hard to coordinate, so we know when the call came in and when we get to the door. So that's the challenge we have of knowing the exact response time, but we do know there is a delay in response because of our current system.
Okay, and then down there, there was something that was referring to the reason coming from afar or coming from a far distance. That means there's somewhere else they get the call and they may hit traffic or...
Correct. In my first round as police chief, we had a different system for reporting, and we could actually put more details about where they were coming from. I found out in this past month when I was looking at the report again, I called and asked, we use a company called ESO, and when they hit the response as to why they were late, it's a drop down and they only have like 10 different things they can choose from. I've asked them to contact the company to add more explanation so we can get better detailed reports. So hopefully in the future we'll see more detailed reasons as to where are they coming from and what caused the delay in that aspect.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we understand that this isn't 3 minutes from when you pick up the call and make your 911 call.
Correct. Unless it's a police call, but we don't have those reports in there.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
With that clarification, are you content now with the approval of item number 2?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a second motion and a second. Nova, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, now Chip, you pulled item number 6.
Yes, I think we're going to start with Ms. Romero. She's got 6 slides to whip through. And then again, our recommendation is that we open it up for public comment. And then we go to Mr. Pierrick for a brief comment or answering any questions or comments.
Okay, so this is my quick summary of the item. First is a background on why we have a conflict of interest code. And the reason is because the Political Reform Act prohibits public officials from using their position for personal financial gain. Every local agency must have a conflict of interest code identifying officials and employees who make governmental decisions. And those designated individuals must disclose financial interests using a Form 700 Statement of Economic Interest. So the key components of the Conflict of Interest Code is that it lists the positions within the city that have roles that participate in decisions affecting financial interests. And then it designates their disclosure categories, defining what financial interests they must report. So the importance of keeping our code updated is that it's required that we review it every 2 years to ensure that we're compliant. The code must accurately reflect the current agency structure and personnel. And the City Council is the code reviewing body, and any amendments made to the code must be adopted by council. So the biennial review process is we look at, our current position control list. Have there been any positions that have been renamed, eliminated, or any new positions added? And if the answer is yes to any of those questions, then the code needs to be updated. So in conclusion, at this time, it's appropriate for the city's conflict of interest code to be updated. And we did a review, and since there have been some changes that have occurred in the position control list compared to 2 years ago, adoption of the resolution tonight will just reflect those changes in the current position control list. So the recommendation is to adopt the resolution or provide other direction to staff.
You know, Brian, did you want to add on?
My suggestion is we go to the public for comment.
Okay. Is anybody in the public wishing to comment on this item? Anybody in the room here?
My name is Laura Davis. I'm the Deputy Director of Landwatch, and I will be providing comments on Landwatch's behalf. Today, the city is considering approval and adoption of an updated conflict of interest code. As the agenda explains, the Political Reform Act of 1974 requires that cities and other local agencies adopt a conflict of interest code. The act requires that the code list the classifications that involve making or participating in making decisions that have a reasonably foreseeable material effect on an economic interest. The key phrase is economic interest. There seems to be some confusion based on certain public comments submitted for this item, in which a member of the community maintains that past relationships with nonprofit organizations, such as Landwatch, should constitute a conflict. Support for a nonprofit, its values, or the issues it advocates does not disqualify a local government official from making decisions related to similar subject matter. Someone might care about children and support charities aimed at furthering educational opportunities. Should that same person not be allowed to make any decisions related to children or education? Or someone who loves dogs might donate to the SPCA. Should that disqualify them from voting on any ordinances related to dogs? I think we can all agree that the suggestion that the City Council should entertain adding language to that effect is absurd. Landwatch's mission is to create a blueprint for sustainability using Monterey County as a model. Our work promotes environmental sustainability and social equity across our community in the form of more affordable, climate-friendly workforce housing, so that all community members can enjoy the opportunities and benefits that Monterey County offers. To the extent that a council member has aligned with Landwatch or any other organization working toward a social or environmental good, either now or in the past, it does not constitute a conflict of interest. The conflict of interest code pertains to economic interests. There has been absolutely no showing that the council's decisions regarding the housing element would have a foreseeable effect on an economic interest of a council member. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Is there anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Anybody in Zoom world?
There's no hands on Zoom.
All right. All right, Brian, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The city did receive an email from Michael McWalters on September 26th of 2024, and he proposes some language to be included in the conflict of interest code. Specifically, he wanted to add ethical problems that may arise between parties with a pre-existing relationship, undue influence or favoritism that hinders impartial execution of responsibilities. He also makes reference to Councilmember Ferlito's participation in a group known as Landwatch Monterey County. And I just wanted to say that I've reviewed this matter. In my opinion, there is no conflict of interest on the part of Councilmember Ferlito based on her participation with the Landwatch Monterey County organization. I would also mention that the laws with respect to conflicts of interest in terms of what constitutes a conflict of interest, that's set forth in the Political Reform Act and applicable case law and other statutes and regulations. The purpose of a conflict of interest code, as the city clerk, Nova Romero, has said, is to identify positions within the city where individuals are required to file a Form 700, the Statement of Economic Interest. So such a proposed language would not be appropriate for this conflict of interest code. And I have nothing further to say on this, but I can answer questions if there are.
Any questions for Brian by council members? All right, well, the action before us then is to go ahead and adopt the code.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-083.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Not hearing any.
I'd like to make a comment.
All right.
I have been accused twice by Mr. McWalders of having a conflict of interest. I've also been accused of hiding out in Vermont. Had I been hiding out in Vermont, I would not have called in to the meeting. I have not missed one meeting in the 4 years I have been serving, and I have been very proud to represent Carmel in everything that I have done. I'd also like to reiterate that in my 30-plus years in Carmel, I have served on many boards: Carmel Friends of the Forest, Friends of the Mission Trail Nature Preserve, the Forest and Beach Commission for 16 years. I am proud of my commitment in this community and on these different organizations. I think it reflects my values, not a conflict of interest. So I just wanted to say that. I also think that it is important to know that Landwatch happens to be a very good organization that has been in effect for over 30 years. I was on the board many, many years ago. I still think that they do good work in our community, and I thought this comment was rather a backhanded criticism of Landwatch, so I didn't think that was fair, and that's why I'm making these comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're proud of you, too. All right, if we have a motion, we have a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I believe that completes today's work. We are adjourned.